We continue now at the top of Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph and Meseches Bava Kamma. This is Bava Kamma Daf 17a. And the previous Amud, the Gemara said that to honor Chizkiah, they built a yeshiva by his kever. One opinion says that yeshiva was there for 3 days. V'chad Amar Shiva. Another opinion says that it was there for 7 days. V'yamri la shloshim. And there are those that say that it was there for 30 days. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabban, and the rabbis taught, V'chavad asu lo b'moso. They made him an honor at the time of his death. Ze Chizkiah melech Yehuda. Again, this refers to Chizkiah, the king of Yehuda. Sheyatzu lefanav shloshim v'shisha elef chalutze kasef. That before him went 36,000 and they bared their shoulders in mourning. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, that's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Amar le Reb Nechemia said to Rabbi Yehuda, V'halo lefnei Achav asukein. They did that in front of Achav. Achav was an evil king. How can you say that was the honor for Chizkiah? Ela sheinichu sefer Torah al mitah. So rather what they did was, they placed the sefer Torah over his coffin. V'yamru kayim zeh ma shekasav b'zeh. And they said this person fulfilled that which was written in the Torah. And the Gemara continues, V'oidna nami avdin hachi. But what's the big deal? Nowadays we also do that. The Gemara says, Afuke mafkinan. Nowadays we take out the sefer Torah. But anuche lo manchinan, but we don't place the Torah on top of the coffin. If you want, I could say anuche nami manchinan. Nowadays we would also place the sefer Torah, but kayim lo amrinan. But we wouldn't make the statement that this person fulfilled the Torah. That was a special honor that they did by Chizkiyahu. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabba bar bar Chana. Rabba bar bar Chana says, Hava azilna bahadi de Rabbi Yochanan lemishal shmaita. I was going with Rabbi Yochanan to ask him this very question. Ki hava ayil lebeis hakisei. Then he went to the bathroom. V'hava ba'ina mine milsa. And then I asked him this when he came out of the bathroom. Lo pashut lo nadamasha yadei. And he didn't answer us until he washed his hands. U'monach tefillin, and put on tefillin. U'mevarich, and he made the bracha. But then he said to us, Afilu kayim amrina. Nowadays we would even say that somebody fulfilled the Torah. But limed lo amrina. But we wouldn't say that the person taught the Torah. That was what they said special when it came to Chizkiah. The Gemara says, V'amar mar, but the master says, Gadol limud Torah, that learning Torah is great, shahalimud mevi lidei maisa, because learning brings a person to doing. So on the contrary, doing it is actually greater. So what do we mean? That we would say that the person did it, but we wouldn't say he taught it. It seems to be that doing is greater than learning. And the Gemara answers, Lokash, it's not difficult, Hala migmar, Hala agamure. In one case we're talking about learning. Learning is not as great as doing. But Hala agamure, but in the other case we're talking about teaching Torah, that's even greater than performing. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Ma'idach Siv, what does it mean when it's written in the Pasuk? This is a Pasuk from Yeshaya. Ashereichem zorei al kol mayim, mishalchei regel hashor v'hachamor. And the Gemara darshans the Pasuk to mean, zorei al kol mayim refers to a type of behavior. It means to say, kol ha'osek b'torah uv'gmilas chasadim. The person who plants seeds over the water refers to somebody who's learning Torah and he's doing chesed. And then it says, mishalchei regel hashor v'hachamor. We understand that to mean Zochel and Nachalas Shnei Shvatim. That's a reference to the fact that he merits the inheritance of 2 Shvatim. The Shor and the Chamor are a reference to the 2 Shvatim of Yosef and Yisachar. And literally, of course, the pasuk means, fortunate are you who plant by the water and send forth these animals in order to go to pasture. But again, we're darshaning it in this fashion. Shenemar, as it says, Ashereichem zorei ve'in zriya el tzedakah. It says, fortunate are you who plant. And what's the word zriya? It's a reference to tzedakah. That's the idea of gemilos chasadim. Shenemar, like the pasuk says, zero lachem l'tzedakah v'kitzru lefi chesed. So you see the language of zriya is used by tzedakah. Ve'in mayim el Torah. And it says again, zorei al kol mayim. What is mayim reference to? Mayim is a reference to Torah. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Hoi called Samei l'chul mayim. Those who are thirsty, they should go to water. So that's the reference to Torah and Gemilas Chasadim. And Mishalchei Regel Hashor v'Hachamor is V'zochel Nachalas Shnei Shvatim. That means the person merits the heritage of the following 2 tribes. Zochel l'kila ki Yosef. He merits the canopy like Yosef. That's an idea of honor, of adornment. T'chsiv, as it's written, Ben Poras Yosef benos tzada alei shur. It says that the women, they would go up upon the wall in order to look at Yosef. That's the idea of the reference over here. When it says that Mishalchei Regel Hashor v'Hachamor is a reference to the kila of Yosef. V'zochel l'nachalas Yisachar, and he also merits the inheritance of Yisachar. T'chsiv, as it says, Yisachar chamor garim. It says Yisachar is like a donkey. That's a reference. Rashi says it's translated that he was very wealthy. So it means to say the person is zocha, the person merits this wealth of Yisachar. And the Gemara continues, Ista Amri, there are those that say, Oivav noflin l'fan of Yosef. What it actually means is not that he gets the kila of Yosef, not that he gets the canopy, so to speak, of Yosef, but that his enemies fall before him like Yosef. T'chsiv, as it's written, Bohem amim yenagach yachtav afseyaris, it says with the horns, because Yosef is compared to a shore, with his horns he gores the other nations. V'zochel l'bina ki Yisachar, and he also merits understanding, he merits wisdom like Yisachar. T'chsiv, as it's written, Umibnei Yisachar, Yosef Yodei Bina Leitim Ladas Mayai. So Yisrael, it says that those from Yisachar, they were Yodei Bina, they had this understanding. And Rashi explains, Benos Tzoad Ale Short says the daughters would go up upon the wall to gaze at Yosef, Hainu Kila. That's the same idea of the reference of Kila. And Chamor Garim, it says like a Chamor, Metargama Aser Benichsen. The Targum of Chamor Garim is that he was wealthy with a lot of property. Yosef Ikri Shor, Yosef is referred to as a shore, like the Pasuk says, Bechor Shoro, Hadar Lo. Hadran Aloch Arba Avos, we will return to you, Perek Arba Avos. This is the conclusion of the first Perek of Meseches Bava Kamma. If you're enjoying these videos and this channel, please like, share, and subscribe, and take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. And we will now begin the second perek of Meseches Bava Kamma. The Mishnah says, Keitzad haregel muedes, how is it that the regel is considered to be a muad, meaning to say when an animal damages as it's walking along, l'shaber b'derech hilucha, let's say it breaks things as it's walking. Habehema muedes lahalich kedarko l'shaber, and a behema, an animal, is a muad that when it walks along and it's normal walking and it breaks things, haisa miva'etes, let's say it's kicking, o shahayu tzuroros minatzin mitachas ragleh, or let's say there are pebbles that are going out from under its feet and they cause damage, v'shivra es hakelim, and it breaks kelim and breaks vessels, meshalim chatzi nezik, that's what we call tzuroros, and the payment is going to be half, you pay half the damages, chatzi nezik. Darsa ala kli, let's say the animal hops upon a kli, on a vessel, steps on a kli, v'shabarto, and he breaks it, v'nafal al kli, v'shivro, and then that kli goes ahead and falls on another kli and breaks that. So ala rishon mishalim nezek shalim, on the first one that's regular damage, pays nezek shalim. V'alo achron mishalim chatzi nezek, but on the second kli, so that's already like tzuroros, it's like one kli damaged the next kli, so you only pay chatzi nezek. Hatar negolin muadin lahalech kedarkon l'shaber, the chickens, they're a muad that they walk along in their normal way and they're going to break things. Haya delil kasher baraglav, let's say you have something tied to the chicken's foot, or shaya mahades or meshaber sakelim, or let's say it's dancing and it breaks kelim, meshalim chatzi nezek. So in that case, obviously we're referring to a case of tzuroros over here, and the payment is going to be chatzi nezek. And Rashi explains, Keitzad haregel muedis, kolomar bameh haregel muedis, meaning to say, in what case are we saying that regel is a muad? L'shaber b'derech hilucha, the answer is that it breaks on the way as it's walking, kolomar b'kachi muedis, meaning to say, it's a muad in this fashion, shemeshaber is derech hilucha, that it breaks things as it's walking, habehema muedis, then the Mishnah said a behema is muad when it's walking and break things, kaparach b'gemar, the Gemara is going to ask, hainu regel, hainu behema, it's exactly the same, regel is referring to the animal. So hatanya, l'shaber derech hilucha, it already said that regel is l'shaber derech hilucha. What's being added when it says habehema lahalich kedarko l'shaber seems to be the same thing. Haisa miva'etes shinoi huzeh. So then it said if it's kicking, so it said that's chatzi nezek. So what does it mean? It's kicking, that's chatzi nezek. So that's really a shinoi. The kicking, Rashi's explaining, is really like Karen. It's like doing something strange, a strange kind of damage. If it told it to Karen, it's a told of Karen. Himka chatzi nezek v'sulo. That's why that case is chatzi nezek. So miva'etes, according to Rashi, is not a case of tzroros. That's only the next case. Tzroros also is a case of chatzi nezek. Oshayu tzroros menatzin. If there are pebbles that are coming from underneath the feet, afagav delav shinoi. Even though that's not a shinoi, ela orchehu, but rather that's normal. Afilu hachi chatzi nezek. Nevertheless, that is chatzi nezek v'sulo. You're not going to pay any more than that. Tehilchas gemiri luhu. That's the halacha l'Moshe Misinai over rishos hanizik ka'amar de rishos harabim pater kedukimna b'reish parakama, and it's only in the rishos hanizik because in rishos harabim you'd be pater because again tzroros told of the regel lepotro b'rishos harabim because tzroros is a told of regel and it's actually pater in rishos harabim. So even though again miva'etes is considered to be keren, it would be chayiv in rishos harabim. It's paying chatzi nezek as a shinoi, but tzroros is considered a told of regel, it pays chatzi nezek, but that's only in the rishos hanizik and not in the rishos harabim. V'nafal al kli acher, again then one vessel falls on another vessel and breaks it. Rishon nizke regel, and the first one is regel, and mishalem is cool, you're going to pay everything. V'achron al yidei tzroros nishbar hilka chatzi nezek, and the later one is really tzroros, meaning it broke by the first kli, the second kli was broken by the first kli, and so therefore you pay chatzi nezek. Delil kasher baraglo, if something was tied to the chicken's foot, called davar haniksha baregel atarnagol kari delil. Anything that's tied to the foot of the chicken is called delil. It could be any item. V'estagarsi deli. Some have the girsa of deli instead of delil. Mahades is merakid. Mahades means again if the animal is dancing, and so then it breaks kelim. Mishalim chatzi nezek. It said at the end of the Mishnah you pay chatzi nezek. The delil hainu tzroros, because again the delil, that rope, that string that's attached to it, whatever's attached to it is actually tzroros. It's not directly damaging with its body, but with something else. It's causing something else to cause the damage. Kedem afarish begemar the adji aduya. That's what the Gemara says later on. That's what the Gemara explains. Hidus nami kagon shehitis v'hatzroros shibros hakelim. The case of hidus also, in the case where the animal is dancing, it's actually bringing up pebbles, and the pebbles are causing the damage. Again, a case of tzroros, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Zayin Amud Beis.